Hello gamers, it is Instagamer and welcome to Fallout Shelter. This game is coming out tomorrow, August 13th, to Android. Finally, it has been on iOS for the past few months, and if you are new here, I would recommend checking out my first video on Fallout Shelter, which goes over the basic tips and tricks to get started with the game and is useful if this is your first time jumping in. Once you do that, we're going to jump into this video, which is advanced tips and tricks. I've been playing Fallout Shelter for months. As you can see by the massive size of my shelter and all the dwellers I have waiting online. So I've essentially completed this game several times over, and I'm going to show you how you could do the same pretty quickly. Now, the first tip I have is a basic one. Don't be in a rush to build your shelter as large as you can, as quickly as you can. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have the basics of each room type, and then work on skilling up your survivors rather than just trying to build as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you're going to be stressed when you find that you are always struggling to have enough power for your shelter. The second big tip is you always want to send out explorers fully stocked. So I'm going to click on an explorer right now, and you can see this is the max level for an explorer. This is my explorer, Karen, and she is at level 50. This is the highest any of the explorers can go. And when you go to collect an explorer before sending them out, instead of taking everything into your inventory, because when you get to this point, you're going to find that, wow, look at how many things you pick up. There is way too much to fit in your inventory. Even with a lot of storage rooms, it's really kind of pointless to have too much storage. You can actually just tap right on them to get rid of them. And for me personally, for the level my shelter's at, I can go through this pretty quickly. I sell any weapons that aren't special, that are below level 6 to 8. And I sell any outfits that aren't special at this point. Another thing that you could look at when you're going through this quickly, if you're not sure if you selected something you didn't want to sell, is if it says 100 for the amount of caps instead of 10, chances are it's a special item and you might not want to sell it. So I'm going to collect her and send her right back out. And this is the amount of stamina and radaways I can get right now. I always send them out fully stocked with 25 stamina packs. You could send them out with less radaways because they never go through all of them, especially if you've trained up their endurance or they're wearing endurance gear. However, I just send them out with 25 anyway, because for me, I always have more than enough of those. As you can see, when I select another dweller, this guy has been out for nearly 30 plus hours and he still came back with 21 packs. So I send them out with overkill, but I tend to prefer doing that. Another tip is that you can cancel one of your quests per day. So for example, right now I have a quest to have 15 female dwellers pregnant. However, I already have 200 dwellers here, which is the limit for how many dwellers you can have in a vault at any given time. So there's no way I would want to have 15 dwellers pregnant, because if you get them pregnant and you don't have the capacity for them to deliver, you're always just going to have pregnant women who run and scream whenever there is a catastrophe or a disaster inside the shelter, and there's nothing you could do about that. So they just be pregnant for eternity. So I'm going to cancel that one out because we don't want it. Now, another important thing is that you can actually sort all of your dwellers, and it took me a long time to realize this. So if I want to sort them by level to see, do I have high level dwellers I want to send out? Like for example, I have this high level dweller in the gaming center. Do I want to send her out instead of having her stay here? If I did, this is an easy way to find her. And you can also sort by special. So that would be like their strength, perception, etc. And the good thing about doing this is if you want to search through your shelter to see if any are at max level, so you can move them to the next training room, like Damon over here, who I'm trying to get leveled up to the highest he could be. That was an easy way to find him. And actually, this is another tip. I'm going through a radroach infestation, and you'll learn I'll come back to Damon in a minute, as you go through your shelter, that Sometimes you are going to have empty rooms like your storage rooms. There's no point to putting someone in a storage room, even though endurance supposedly helps in there, it doesn't do anything. So you're going to have empty rooms like this. Don't feel rushed to drag another dweller over there. It's not going to deplete your resources. It only depletes your resources if you let dwellers die. It does take a little bit longer to combat the incident this way, but it works and you won't have casualties. Also, as you're going through it, if some of your dwellers look like they're getting low, instead of dragging them to another room, you can just tap them and tap on a stamina pack to give them back stamina. Also, as a note for building, this is an example of why it's not good to stack all of your empty rooms in one spot, because the radroaches will just continue to spread up and down and it takes forever to put out an incident. Another nice thing is if you do drag your dwellers around during an incident, after the incident, they will run back to their original room, so you don't need to keep track of who came from where. You can also tell from a distance if it's spreading and you're not sure where the incidents are happening. The affected rooms will be flashing green, like these rooms right here. It's just like real life. These roaches are the worst and they take forever to go away. Let me take care of this pesky infestation and I'll be right back. So what are some of the easiest objectives to do? The first are objectives that tell you to send dwellers to the wasteland. If you get an objective like that, you can literally just take a dweller, drag them out to the wasteland, and as soon as they get out there, recall them. And when you do that, they'll come right back. So if they want you to send 20 dwellers to the wasteland, just do that with 20 guys in a row and you'll be good to go. Another easy objective is equipping your dwellers with outfits or weapons, because even if they already have an outfit or weapon, you could just tap them and equip a different one and they'll be good to go. A third easy objective is when they ask you to have dwellers dancing in the same room. When you have dwellers who are going to get pregnant, I'm not going to try doing it right now to show you because I don't want to accidentally get anyone pregnant over here. But if you drag them into the living quarters and let them dance, as long as you keep an eye on them, you could just have them dance without them getting pregnant. They always dance before they run off to have a baby. Also, if you get an objective that tells you to raise the happiness of, let's say, 12 dwellers at once, easiest way to do that is take your unhappiest dwellers and mate them, and whenever they have a baby, both dwellers, the man and woman, become 100% happy. So that's an easy way to raise happiness or raise it to 100%. And if you mate your highest level dwellers, their attributes can actually pass down to their kids. So instead of picking dwellers that hardly have any attributes like this, you might want to pick one like this to mate. And let's say you need more perception people for your shelter because you need more help producing water, mate more perception people. Finally, once you get to the point where you're really starting to collect weapons and outfits for everyone in your shelter, as you can see in my shelter, everybody has the appropriate outfits for their room. Oh, and this is a tip too, actually, before I go into the other one. If you tap on a dweller like this, for example, her strength is already maxed out, so you might be wondering, should I still equip her with military fatigues, which give you +3 strength? The answer is yes, especially if you're running low on power, for example, since this is a power plant. By over-equipping them, it actually does count as 13 points instead of 10. I've tested it out, and you could see it reduces the amount of time. For example, the power plant right now has 28 seconds left. If I change her outfit, did you see it jumped back up? So it does actually affect the amount of time left. Or you could go the route of equipping them all with formal wear. I did that for a while to increase the amount of caps I have, which, as you can tell in the upper right, is quite a few. And you can also tell I've got tons of formal wear because I have it in case I ever need more caps and I want to equip more of my dwellers with them, because every time you collect a room, you have a chance of getting caps based on how lucky your dwellers are. Now, once you get to a certain point in the game, you're going to be able to start training your dwellers once you can build these specialty rooms, like the game room. And the game room is actually one of my favorites because it's luck. Now, luck is a statistic that's not used in most of the rooms. However, it's still very useful to train everybody up in luck, because let's say you just train your dwellers in strength and luck for your power rooms. It's just going to increase the amount of money every room makes every single time you collect from it. And it's very useful as I'm doing here with this particular dweller, you'll notice she's level 50, but I still have her training her luck. The reason for that is because when you collect a dweller who has high luck, like for example, this dweller has okay luck. He's at 6907. This is a dweller with high luck. Do you see how many caps she's collecting at over 10,000? Over 9,000. No, over 10,000. And the lower their luck is, the lower the caps they'll collect are. So you really want to increase that as much as possible by training up their luck. So let me take you on a tour of my shelter. I have every room type in here. And I will also show you all of the rooms you can get. Now, I could continue to grow my shelter. As you can see, there's still tons of space left, but there's really no need for it. And it would just dilute how many workers I have in each room, so I haven't found a point to doing that. But let me show you all the types of rooms there are. Since as you're playing, you won't get to unlock these until you get there. So minor spoiler alert, but it's not spoiling a story or anything. These are all of the rooms that are in the game. Now, some of them actually produce the same sort of thing. So if you have a diner, for example, which I love how they look. See if we can get here. The diner here requires agility, and it's what produces food. Well, you can also, once you get to a high enough level, build a garden instead, which produces food, and it's a little more efficient. Now, for the money, if you're tight on caps, it is not worth it. The extra efficiency and amount produced is not worth the tremendous extra cost. But as you start leveling up, you're going to want to build these, and the special one is the Nuka-Cola bottler. And if you've wondered what this does, it allows you to produce food and water at the same time. So I don't think I have too many explorers out at the moment, but let me show you how long they can stay out. Now you'll notice that dwellers can stay out for a very long time once they are max level, and if you send them out with the max amount of stim packs and radways. For example, this particular dweller has already been exploring for going on 2 days, and you'll notice that he's only used 10 stim packs, and he still has every single one of his radways. So you can have dwellers stay out for a long time, and once you get to the point where you have a lot of dwellers to send, that's where the game's going to become very easy for you. Sending explorers out to the wasteland is actually the quickest way for them to level up. So if you have a level 1 dweller, for example, that you've really leveled up their skills on, don't be afraid to send them out with to the wasteland with the max amount of stim packs and radaways. And the thing about doing that is they will die quicker, because the higher level they are, the longer they will last in the wasteland. However, as long as you keep an eye on them, they're fine. And if they die when they're a lower level, they're cheaper to revive. The most it costs to revive any single dweller is 1,000 caps, which isn't that much when you get to the point where I'm at in this game, where I have 600,000 I'm never even going to spend on anything. If all 200 dwellers of mine died, I would still have more than enough money to revive all of them. Another tip is the radio room. Now, once you get to the point in the game that I'm at, the radio studios or broadcast centers aren't going to do a ton for you, because everyone's walking around because it's complete, because I already have 200 dwellers and I can't have any more. However, they still increase happiness for your entire vault, and the happier everyone is, the more they produce. So even when your vault is full, you might find you still want to build more rooms like this, like the radio studios, so that it increases the happiness of more of your dwellers, which can also help when you get those objectives to raise happiness by 100%. Now, this video is already super long, but I have even more tips to share, so if you want more, let me know, or share your tips in the comments to help out everybody else, and I'll be responding to comments to answer any questions you have in the game. It is a really fun game, being the companion app for Fallout 4, which is coming later this year, and it's a great way to pass the time. I've really enjoyed it and would certainly recommend downloading it. Be sure to subscribe for more tips, not only on this game, but other really awesome mobile, PC, PS4, Xbox One, every type of game out there I give tips and tricks for, as well as do Let's Plays. So if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and share this video with anyone you think it might help. You might also want to save this video to your favorites so that you can refer to it as you're playing the game. I'll see you next time.